A pleasant day, everyone. I am Rodelina Tado, together with my companions, and we are going to discuss with you the chapter 6, which is Applied Linguistics. There are three lessons that are covered in this chapter. Lesson 1, we have Ethnolinguistics, to be presented by me. Lesson number 2, we have Code Switching, to be presented by Miss Cherry Joy Stidillo. And the third one, we have Discourses of Language in Cultural and Relevance, to be presented by Miss Elvie Jane Tangaro and Miss Love Sweeney Talpis. Without further ado, sit back, relax, and enjoy learning. Welcome to Chapter 6, the Applied Linguistics, and here are the learning outcomes. In the end of this chapter, the students should be able to: first, recognize ethnography and ethnolinguistic research as viable tools to improve and advocate languages. Second, argue on code switching as a product of a sub-form of language. Third, draft language policy that could be relevant to culture and social groups in the community. And fourth, discuss the language, teaching, and learning scenarios that show the application of linguistic in culture and society. Lesson 1, the ethnolinguistics. So what comes in your mind when you hear the word ethnolinguistics? The term ethnolinguistics comprises of the two words ethno, derived from the Greek language meaning nation, people, and linguistics, which means the scientific study of the structure and development of language in general or particular languages. Therefore, ethnolinguistic is the study of the interrelation between a language and the cultural behavior of those who speak it. The founder of ethnolinguistics is Edward Sapir. He was a leader in American structural linguistics and one of the creators of what is now called the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis. What is Sapir-Whorf hypothesis? So, Sapir-Whorf hypothesis, it is the linguistic theory that semantic structure of a language shape or limits the way in which a speaker forms conception of the world. Sapir-Whorf hypothesis is a position of linguistic relativity. It argues that language is not merely a reproducing instrument for voicing ideas, but is itself a shaper of ideas, the program and guide for the individual's meaningful activity. In short, language determines or shapes our perception of reality. Moreover, if you speak multiple tongues, you may have realized that, albeit your fluency in the two or three languages, there are times where it is impossible to translate a word from one language to another. The reason is simply because there is no such word or expression in the other language. Digging deeper into the related context, Sapir-Whorf hypothesis argues that if a certain word is not available in your language, your perception of reality will be different as one who uses a specific word in their language to describe that reality. For example, the color blue is a common term every English language user will be able to relate to. But in certain ancient languages, the word blue does not exist. And the question is, how do ancient people describe the sky? Do they perceive or see it as a green or gray? There is a popular color test experiment with the Himba tribe in Namibia, whose language has no word to describe the color blue. The subject were shown the following picture and asked to pick out the square that has a different color. Results shown that the Himba people was unable to identify the blue square amongst the green or those who could see a difference. It took much longer than it would make sense to us who can clearly spot the blue square. They, however, easily distinguished which was a different shade of green due to the presence of various different types of word for green in their language. Can you identify which is the square with a different shade of green? The answer lies within the RGB values indicated on of each green square as shown in the picture. The underlying theory is that we may not see the something is there until we have a way to describe it. It is interesting to think that our perception could be shaped, or I would like to say, highly influenced by the language that we grow up learning. There are, however, other theories and research results that are against the claims of the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis. Moving forward, part of ethnolinguistics is the so-called linguistic relativism. It states that the language we know or use every day is more than just a list of words guided by grammar structures and prescribed rules. It goes beyond the ordinary, for it also influences our cognitive processes and defined how we see things. Linguistic relativism has two versions, the strong and the weak. The strong version postulates that language decides and determines our thought and cognition, while the weak version pushes the idea that language only influences thought. At present, linguists seem favorable to the weak version, and this fact has influenced many experiments on linguistics. This is the end of my report, and before we're going to proceed to the lesson 2, answer this activity. Directions: answer the questions comprehensively. Number 1. Based on observation, are there words in your vocabulary that do not exist in your friend's language? What words did they use instead? Number 2. Did the language shape your cognition and opinions? And the last one, do you treat someone differently just because you have been told by others about someone else's negative characteristic, or base your judgment from personal experience? Stay tuned as reporter number 2 will do her part.